The annual Catholic Appeal, continuing the tradition of neighbor helping neighbor, responding to Pope Francis's call to serve with love, serving our brothers and sisters throughout life's journey, caring for the less fortunate, walking with those in need. Make your donation of time, talent, or treasure online at diospringfield.org and help us to help our neighbors in need. Support the annual Catholic Appeal.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
I'm Terry Hegarty. I'll tell you why 400 men gathered for spiritual growth at the 12th Annual Diocesan Men's Conference.
I'm Carolee McGrath. I'll have the story of a life-changing confirmation retreat in the Berkshires.
And a very special man celebrates a decade of service in the Diocese of Springfield. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel.
From throughout Western New England and beyond, this is Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Here is your Reel to Reel host, Sharon Roulier.
Hello and welcome again to Reel to Reel. It was 10 years ago last Tuesday, April 1st, that we welcomed a New Yorker and a Yankee fan into our midst, our very own Bishop Timothy McDonnell. It's been an exciting and at times tumultuous decade for the shepherd of Western Massachusetts. Now, as he awaits word from Rome regarding his retirement, Bishop McDonnell took time to sit down with Reel to Reel's Peggy Weber and reflect on his decade here in the diocese.
Bishop Timothy McDonnell was installed as the 8th Bishop of Springfield on April Fool's Day, 2004. It was a stormy day, both literally and figuratively. We asked Bishop McDonnell what he remembered from that momentous occasion.
Well, the first thing I remember is that it rained, and it continued to rain. Second thing I remember is that in this very room, Cardinal Egan was sitting when we had a blowback on the boiler downstairs, and smoke started coming from the house. We weren't sure whether it was white smoke or black smoke, but it was, so the fire department arrived. It was an exciting beginning before the ceremony even took place. It's funny how days like that you capture more when you look at a video afterwards. Going through it, there's so many things happening simultaneously. The ceremony itself, the people, new surroundings, new place, and a challenge, not knowing what the future holds, putting it all in God's hands.
Bishop McDonnell came to Springfield from the Archdiocese of New York amid the scandal of the sudden resignation and departure of then Bishop Thomas Dupre, who had been accused of sexual misconduct. Bishop McDonnell recalled how he felt.
I don't think I'm still over the shock. It just was, it was wrong. It was wrong that those things happened, and I haven't been able to make them right. That's one of my regrets, that I haven't been able to make them as right as they should be, but I don't know if anybody could.
And Bishop McDonnell acknowledged that the sexual abuse scandal is a sad chapter in the Church's history.
There's nothing I can ever say that's adequate. First of all, I'm sorry. I said that from the very beginning, and people who were trusted betrayed that trust, and people were hurt, and people are hurting to this day. And that hurt continues. And I don't know if there's any way ever I can do enough to help people overcome that. I've tried to reach out, I've tried to meet, I've tried to talk, I've tried to be with people who are hurting, but the hurt remains, and the results are long-lasting. It's a reality, and we've put into place now, as best we can, safeguards to try to prevent this from ever happening in any way in any church again.
He noted that perhaps one of his biggest challenges was pastoral planning.
I discovered that since the 70s, the diocese had been declining in numbers. Right now, we're about only 2/3 of the number of Catholics that we were at the end of the 70s. So over that period of time, the numbers have gone down. So we had to face the fact that we were church rich and people poor in many ways. And that meant the reconfiguration of a number of parishes. That was a very difficult thing and very hard thing for people, and it still is.
Bishop McDonald faced many challenges beyond being a Yankees fan in Red Sox territory. He said he has faced many other hurdles.
The challenge really was getting to know people, getting to know what the diocese was like, getting to know the situations here, getting to know the good things and the bad, and then facing them and seeing how I could do my best with God's help to bring the diocese forward and help it really be what it's meant to be, the people of God, worshiping the Lord in fitting settings.
The past 10 years have not all been filled with problems and hardships. He has met 2 popes, Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict, and now serves under Pope Francis. Yes, there have been many moments of great joy.
There's some fantastic people here, some dedicated people, wonderful people. I mean, the people I work with here in the administration, the people I work with in I've come to know in different parishes, different organizations. Not too long ago, we had a gathering of the Hispanic community, for example, which has been growing. And I'd say almost 600 people came out for that evening. One of the great things is lots and lots of children. And that's one of the things we're seeing, that there are more, the number of children being baptized is growing slowly. For so long, every year, and this goes back to 1985, every year since then, there's been 1,000 more funerals than baptisms in the diocese. That says an awful lot, but now we're seeing the baptism starting to increase a little bit again. And that's a positive sign. That's a great sign of growth. We've seen the maturing of the Vietnamese community in the diocese. We've seen a combination of all the different cultures coming together in some of the new parishes.
Another joy for Bishop McDonald has been the wonderful friendship he has developed with Bishop Emeritus Joseph F. McGuire.
He's a mentor. He is one of the kindest and sharpest men I've ever met. The more I learn about him, the more I take delight in knowing him. He is just a kind, gentle man who has great insight and is a great storyteller. And among the things, it's just fun to sit there with him and chat and go through some of the things of the day.
And Bishop McDonald remains positive and optimistic about the diocese.
One of the things is that the hurts can be healed, that we can realize that we're all part of one church, that one Lord, one faith, one baptism, that we are followers of Jesus Christ. I think one of the things Pope Francis is doing, and it's been so wonderful, is that it's bringing people back to the idea of what it means to really follow Jesus. It means that we look out for each other. It means that we're not condemnatory, but caring. It means that we are a people of God and that we realize we are brothers and sisters all. And that if we can really understand that and work on that, we'll build a better society. We'll make things better for everyone. Caring, I think, is the key. People really care in this area. They can't always express it, but it's true. And I think if we can help that to grow, the diocese has a great future.
Bishop McDonald leads a simple life. He cooks for himself, and he spends time in prayer and quiet. When asked about his upcoming retirement, he said,
I'll still be around. I'll be living in the diocese, but it'll be more ministry and less administration. I can get away from the desk.
And just where he lives is to be determined.
There's options in every part of the diocese, but one of the things I'd like to discuss, I've discussed that with the new bishop coming in as to whether he feels it should be closer, or is it, as we've done in the past, have a bishop at each end of the diocese?
And when asked what advice he would give the new bishop, he said simply,
just enjoy the fact that you're among good people, good place, and the people are God's people.
As he looks forward to a new part of his priesthood, Bishop McDonnell can look back on the stormy day he took the helm of the ship of the Diocese of Springfield and thank God for steering it safely and well for the past decade. For Reel to Reel, I'm Peggy Weber.
Thanks, Peggy. A lot certainly has happened in the past 10 years, and as Peggy indicated, the bishop made many difficult decisions, but always with the best long-term interest of our faith community foremost in his mind. We will certainly keep you up to date when an announcement finally comes from the Vatican. And still to come on Reel to Reel, Carolee McGrath profiles New Spirit, connecting kids and faith. And Boston's Cardinal has some words for the men in the Diocese of Springfield. These stories and more are still to come on this edition of Reel to Reel.
I'm happy to be in the truth, and I will daily lift my hands.
The Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Passionist Brother Terence Scanlon, your Chalice host, inviting you to take time out and worship with us on Sunday morning. This week we welcome Monsignor Christopher Conley and representatives of the upcoming Catholic Women's Conference. The Chalice of Salvation, Sunday morning at 10, right here on 22 News.
The annual Catholic Appeal, continuing the tradition of neighbor helping neighbor, responding to Pope Francis's call to serve with love, serving our brothers and sisters throughout life's journey, caring for the less fortunate, walking with those in need. Make your donation of time, talent, or treasure online at diospringfield.org and help us to help our neighbors in need. Support the annual Catholic Appeal.
All parents who have buried a child know this truth. No words can take away the pain or fill the empty space in a heart that has endured such a loss. But where words fail, faith enters in, slowly, silently, guiding us in the search for healing and understanding. I was blessed and humbled to spend an evening with a local couple who explained how a photo of their youngest child was signed by Pope John Paul II in 2002, the year that child passed away because of a cancer caused by a rare genetic disease. There were tears, but also smiles as the story unfolded about a curly-haired little girl cherished by her parents and older siblings, and the sudden illness that ended a bright, joyful life. But the cover story in the April issue of the Catholic Mirror is not just about the signature of a pope, soon to be a saint. It is about the love and prayers that a family poured out on their child, and about the legacy of a little girl, preserved in ongoing prayers and in local fundraisers held in her memory. Also featured in this Easter issue of the Mirror is news of the rebuilding of a tornado-damaged school campus and the good work of the Catholic Women's Club of Springfield. Finally, a gifted diocesan priest and preacher, Father Warren Savage, offers a reflection on the meaning and power of the resurrection and the hope it brings to all Christians for a heavenly reunion with loved ones who, like Katie De Silva, are now in the company of saints. May our prayers on earth be joined with those of the souls above as we strive to follow the way of the cross wherever it leads, while never losing sight of the miracle of salvation. At the editor's desk, I'm Rebecca Drake.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Reel-to-Reel news brief. Diocesan officials met last week to discuss plans for the demolition of the tornado-damaged properties in the East Forest Park neighborhood of Springfield and how planning will be undertaken for the new construction there. Carolee McGrath was at the meeting and filed this report.
St. Michael's Academy students open up for the special meeting of the East Forest Park Civic Association held at St. Michael's Academy in Springfield. The meeting was to update residents on the plans to rebuild facilities hit by the June 2011 tornado. Mark DuPont, the Director of Public Affairs for the diocese, says the decision has been made to rebuild new on Surrey Road and that the total allocated to address academic facilities damaged by the tornado will be $40 million in hard construction costs. The facilities include all of Cathedral High School, along with the preschool and middle school units of St. Michael's Academy.
We worked with the community tonight to tell them about how we're going to proceed with demolition, how the design phase is going to unfold in the coming months. I know they're very anxious to see some progress on the site, and we hope that we provided some answers.
Just last month, FEMA awarded the diocese $21 million in the form of a grant to be used to rebuild the damaged school properties. However, to qualify, the diocese must come up with an additional $8 million beyond the insurance proceeds to meet the federal 75-25% cost-sharing formula. Last fall, the diocese reached a $60 million settlement with insurer Catholic Mutual to cover damage sustained by Cathedral and St. Michael's Academy. That settlement also included St. Michael's Priest Residence and Mount Carmel Parish in the South End, both ravaged by the tornado. In addition, the insurance settlement covered damage to St. Jude Mission Church in Indian Orchard caused by the July 26, 2011 microburst. DuPont expects the bidding process to begin this month and demolition on the site will get underway by the summer. He believes a new building will not be ready for about 2 years.
We hope by early summer to start demolition and asbestos abatement, but that's going to be an 8-month process. But during that 8 months, we are going to be working on design issues. We're going to come with some sort of a remedy for new construction on that site. So it's not going to be lost time. There'll be concurrent work taking place.
As the diocese works to rebuild, there's also an effort underway to boost enrollment. Cathedral's president, Ann Southworth, spoke about the Cathedral Endowment Fund for tuition assistance.
The purpose for the fund, the endowment fund, is to raise enough money. Our goal, our ultimate long-term goal, is to raise $10 million in order to have $500,000 in tuition assistance available to ensure that anyone who wants to come to Cathedral and is qualified to come to our school will be able to attend the school. It is a fabulous, fabulous school.
To date, 339 donors have come forward, raising $820,000. This includes the $500,000 donation from Michelle and Don Demore. Reporting for Reel-to-Reel, I'm Carolee McGrath.
And you can read more details on this story online at iobserve.org. In other news, Catholic schools sent another strong anti-bullying message through Holyoke Catholic High School's spring production of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, which will run next weekend. Julie Bollier has a preview of this family-friendly show.
Happiness is 2 kinds of ice cream.
Knowing a secret.
Climbing a tree.
They may tease him a lot, but he's still part of the gang.
I think the main message of the show is that it's important to find happiness among your friends. Charlie Brown is really struggling to become happy and to have fun with all of his friends throughout the show.
Happiness is anyone and anything at all that's loved by you.
I feel like a younger audience really will enjoy almost a cartoon that's like kind of brought to life in a way.
Get on the bus.
Go ahead, get on the bus, Charlie Brown. Don't want to be late for school.
Woof! So, hop on the bus and come see You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown on the old McDuffie School campus in downtown Springfield, 1 Amesville Road, April 11th and 12th at 7:30 p.m. For tickets, call 777-4701 or email amanda.malewin@gmail.com. Enjoy. This is Julie Bollier reporting.
Another great Catholic school effort. Finally, the well-known Catholic social justice advocate Jack Jezreel, president and founder of Just Faith Ministries, will be in our diocese next week to present Hearts Wide Open, a parish mission in the spirit of Pope Francis, on April 8th, 9th, and 10th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at Holy Cross Parish, 221 Plumtree Road. All are invited to attend. You can get more details on that and stay informed on all the happenings in our diocese by logging onto our news and information website, iobserve.org. There you'll find up-to-the-minute and accurate news on the Catholic Church, both here in the Diocese of Springfield and beyond. You can also see video reports from Reel to Reel from the award-winning team at Catholic News Service. That's our news and information website, iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and that's your Reel to Reel News Brief.
Well, they waited for more than a year, and it was a wait well worth it for attendees of last Saturday's 12th Annual Catholic Men's Conference. Men from throughout the Diocese of Springfield and beyond gathered in Chicopee, where they finally got to hear from Boston Cardinal Sean O'Malley, one of the closest advisors to Pope Francis, on his take on Catholicism and the challenges we all face in our secular world. As Terry Hegarty now reports, the annual event is a time for men to gather to reconnect to their community of faith.
The 400 men who attended the Diocese of Springfield's men's conference at Bellamy Middle School in Chicopee last week enjoyed fellowship, music, and prayer. Designed to help men grow in holiness, the day-long event featured 4 speakers, the first of whom, Ralph Martin, spoke about the difficulties of being a Catholic in today's culture. He says that we need to be a friend of Jesus Christ.
And if we don't have the shield of faith, if we don't have that relationship with Jesus Christ, if we don't have that friendship with Him, if we don't have that prayer life, we're going to be sitting ducks to be picked off. And if we don't know the truth of Jesus' teaching, if we don't know what God's Word really says, if we don't know what the church really teaches, we're going to be defenseless against deception and lies.
Ralph urged the men to evangelize and spoke extensively about the Divine Mercy message. Today was a day for fellowship, for information, and for affirmation. And as far as Cardinal O'Malley's presentation is concerned, it was a day that was more than a year in the making. Last March, a late change to the Cardinal's schedule occurred after Pope Benedict XVI surprised the world by announcing that he would retire. Cardinal O'Malley had to travel to Rome to join the College of Cardinals, which ultimately elected Pope Francis.
Well, it was an extraordinary experience. I call it sort of a Pentecost experience, because really we felt very connected with the whole church in prayer, asking for the Holy Spirit's guidance to be able to choose a new leader for our church.
Cardinal O'Malley, who is now a close advisor to Pope Francis, spoke to the men about the new pontiff and how one of the first things that Pope Francis did was speak of the globalization of indifference.
Indifference to the suffering of others, to the fate of the unborn, to the elderly, the handicapped, the mentally ill, and the immigrants. We must overcome this indifference in our lives.
The Cardinal also spoke of the difficulty of evangelizing in an increasingly secular world.
It's much harder to preach the gospel in a culture that seems to be vaccinated against the faith. In our own country, where so many Catholics have stormed off, dozed off, or simply drifted away from the church. Pope Francis is calling on all of us to be missionaries in our own communities.
Joseph Lemaire, a Springfield resident who is married and has 2 young sons, says that attending the men's conferences each year helps him pass on the faith.
I always come to this program for a spiritual growth in the Catholic Church, to learn more about the Catholic Church so I can impact it on my children in the future. I want to bring up my children in the Catholic faith the same way that I was brought up.
Vinnie Flynn spoke to the men about how the healing that occurs through the sacrament of reconciliation was not emphasized years ago.
We grew up thinking that confession's about behavior, bad behavior, and about forgiveness of that behavior. And there wasn't enough explanation that that's true, but it's only the first part. The Catechism teaches that forgiveness in the confessional initiates the healing, and it's actually more about healing than anything.
In addition to listening to speakers, the men had the opportunity for Eucharistic adoration, the sacrament of reconciliation, and to enjoy praise and worship music performed by the Rock Group. Father Jonathan Reardon was thrilled with the turnout.
It shows to me that people care about their salvation. People care about the church. They care about their souls. And they're willing to sacrifice a day to learn more about themselves, about God, and what it means to be holy.
Cardinal O'Malley told Reel to Reel that gatherings like the men's conference are very beneficial.
This kind of a convocation of men gives them an opportunity to have that spiritual strength that they need to go out and witness to their faith in their families, in their workplace, in their homes, and to know that they're not alone, that they're part of something bigger than themselves, that they are part of the body of Christ.
Brian Mercier told the men how to go forward with what they had learned.
The theme of the conference today is return to me with all your heart. And a lot of the men have done that. Maybe most, maybe all the men have done that today. But where do we go from here? Sometimes as men, we treat spirituality as like, a box to check. Okay, I came back to God with all my heart. And then what? We go on to the next task. But I want to talk about how to take that every single day and live for God with all your heart throughout all of your life.
The program concluded with a Mass celebrated by Bishop McDonnell. Reporting for Reel to Reel, this is Terry Hegarty.
And we understand the committee has already begun planning for next year's men's conference, slated for March 7th, 2015. And Terry Hegarty will have more from his exclusive sit-down with Cardinal O'Malley next week on our show. Finally, remember this television program benefits from your contributions to the annual Catholic Appeal. In total, 40 agencies and services helping the young and old alike depend on the annual Catholic Appeal, so please consider making your donation, as well as consider answering that call to donate your time and talent to a local church, school, or nonprofit. Answer Pope Francis' call to serve by being a neighbor, helping your neighbors in need. And you can make that donation of time, talent, and treasure online through a link on our website, iobserve.org. There you can also keep up to date on all of the news on the Catholic Church in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world, as well as find daily news reports from our local Catholic communications team and the Catholic News Service. That's iobserve.org. Thank you so much in advance for your support of the annual Catholic Appeal. And for this week, that's Reel to Reel. Please join me again next week for another edition of Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Have a great week.
Reel to Reel is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.